Welcome to the Maidenless podcast,
where we discuss characters, locations, and lore from everyone's favorite game, Elden Ring.
and today we're going to be talking about East Limgrave, Stormveil Castle, and the Round Table Hold.
Hello, and welcome to the Maidenless podcast. You just heard our amazing theme song composed by none other than my wonderful co-host. Take a bow, Drew. Take a bow. What a lovely song. Snaps all around.
I'm trying to think of what the sound of a bow would be. Creaking, I would imagine.
I'll put that in with a big clap sound. We'll give clap, 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 clap. So today we are talking about East Limgrave, the East Coast, and like it's not a coast because it's attached to Caelid.
No, yeah, that's true.
And Stormveil Castle. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so first up, I think we'll do East Limgrave because that's way more. I'm not going to say it's more boring, but compared to Stormveil Castle, it's much less exciting.
Almost everything at the very beginning of the game is boring compared to Stormveil Castle.
Yes.
And that's not an indictment against the stuff in Limgrave. That's just praise for Stormveil Castle. That place is awesome.
Yes. But to the east, we have the Saints Bridge. We were playing a little bit of it earlier, and we went across the Saints Bridge. So if we go across the Saints Bridge, that's where we hear, what's his name? Alexander. Hey, that's my name. Mm-hmm. We hear that pot guy.
Yeah.
That pot guy, Alexander.
It's just that makes him sound so sketchy. Oh, yeah, the pot guy. No, he legitimately is
that
a
guy
pot.
is really sketchy, that pot guy, Alexander. But we hear him crying for help. We give his pot booty a good slap. We get him out of his bind. And then we go across the St. Bridge, and there's a much less friendly figure. At first, when I heard the, hello, is anyone here? I thought it was the guy banging his head against the ground.
Oh.
Mad Pumpkinhead. And as I approached, I was realizing, no, that's not coming
an
from that
NPC,
guy. But yeah, what do you think of the Mad Pumpkinheads? I think we talked a little bit about the boss fight.
I love their design. I think the helm especially, just aesthetically, can elevate a look from being like, and I legitimately believe this, it can elevate a look from being like, oh, you're just designing this to look like a cool anime character, to being like, oh, this character has some sort of backstory, and it's so weird. And their story, I mean, I don't understand the fullness of it, but it is one of the saddest things. Like, that they are just insane, and that Helmet's there to, like, help them not be even more insane than they are.
Yeah, I think the helmet is there just to tame them, like, so they're not killing the people around them. They can point them at other people to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I think they're from the Colosseums, right?
That could, I'm not 100% sure, but it could be. They do certainly have similar stature and coloring and muscle mass to the actual gladiator characters. Yes. They do.
The dirty bodybuilder look.
Yep, and they do also use weapons that you would think, because they're the ones that have like whips normally and other kind of gladiator type weapons. But
makes sense.
I always love any FromSoft enemy design that makes you feel a little bit sad.
Everyone.
Right, but some more than others. Those guys make me real sad.
Yeah. So we dispatch him or go around him, whatever you choose to do.
I always dispatch him.
Yeah. I always wanted that helmet, but I never got it.
Oh, yeah, it took me killing them for maybe a good solid 2 hours before I just kept respawning and killing that guy to wait for it. It's a rare drop.
Yeah. Well, I saw that not to get too off track, but the pumpkin head gets me very off track. That was one of the things in the network test that struck me, because there were all these people running around, because I was really into all the starting classes. I wanted to see what they looked like, because they all look amazing, except for that one like weird wooden thing around the guy's neck.
Oh yeah,
seems a little strange, but besides that, they all look amazing. So I was looking at them, and then I started seeing people running around naked with a pumpkin on their heads, and I'm like, that's weird.
Such a classic look.
I'm so interested. So we kill him, and then we come across a bunch of gravestones, another graveyard. We have the respawning skeleton enemies.
Yes.
Which go all the way back to Dark Souls 1.
Yes, they do.
I guess probably even to Demon Souls.
Possibly, yes.
I didn't play that one.
The confusion of fighting those in this game, I feel like just having a holy damage weapon not permanently killing them really messed me up, because I was like, that's what Dark Souls taught me. Was, oh, well, if you have something that does holy damage, then they're dead. And then I was looking for the, well, then there must be some weird wizard thing that makes them respawn, like in the catacombs.
More.
Yeah.
Just hit them more.
Yeah.
Holy damage, apart from the gameplay that we saw today of my character that relies solely on holy damage pretty much, in the later gameplay, people say it really sucks because all the late game bosses have
resistance to it.
Tons of resistance to it. But anyways, so we fight the skeletons, and we come across D, right? If you're looking carefully, he's sitting there on the side of the road with his sword in his golden armor.
When I first encountered D was in the round table hold. Oh. So I missed him out there.
I got him out there.
Nice.
Well, one place or another.
It makes sense. It makes sense you would get him out there, because that's also where he leads you. Like when he tells you, like further down that road, where we deal with a character that, or a recurring enemy that I don't know if we're naming yet.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Is it the Mariner?
It is.
Yes,
the what Mariner though? Do you remember the? Tibia. Which I don't think I think it's supposed to be where he's from, but I always just think of a bone.
Yes.
He's quite a bony mariner.
Yes. I get distracted by mariner because I think marinara sauce, and that erases all other surrounding words in my mind. So whenever I can't explain it, but whenever I see the word mariner, I picture sitting at a bowling alley eating mozzarella sticks and marinara sauce. And that's where my mind goes.
Good place to be in your mind.
Yeah. Now, the Mariner, I'm not sure I ever fought them properly, because I never found them to be very difficult.
No, they're pretty wimpy.
Is that just what it is?
Yeah, and they're supposed to summon other enemies, but they're pretty easy
but if
to
you
dodge.
just kill them really, really fast, they can't do that.
True. That's very true. They're not much to deal with. It kind of... Okay, so there's another weird thing, too. In the beginning of the game, when you're doing character creation, there is a character face preset called Mariner. Yeah, and it's like blonde and looks kind of Nordic.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then we see a lot of broken ships around Limgrave. So when the first time I played through, I saw D in the round table hold like you did, and he said, be careful if you see the death, especially if there's a mariner in there. And I'm like, oh, is this going to be like an NPC, like an evil NPC, who's going to be like a leader of the... No. It's just a wimpy skeleton in a boat.
That's it. So it's like a cross of like... It's a cross of like Nordic mythology and... Well, it must be a cross of like Nordic mythology and ancient Greek mythology, I would have to think.
Elden Ring?
Just the mariner.
Oh,
his role. He must be some sort of...
what's his name? Who charges the coins on your eyes?
Yep. The river Styx, all that.
River Styx.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but scream it at us into your car if you're listening. We'll hear it. We'll get it.
Yes, we will. We'll ignore it, but we will hear it.
Yes, I heard you there. I heard you when you said it, but screw you individually. I'm not gonna say it. We get past Summonwater Village, right? Take out the Mariner, and then D transports inside the Summonwater Village, right? Because
Man, I did not have the same experience with D that you did. I referred to no guides or anything when I played through, and I'm learning. Oh, well, right, but I'm learning over time that since everyone's experiences were so different to mine, that I missed a ton of stuff.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
He just says, "Oh, I always death root." Have you met with the beast clergyman? What are you waiting for?
Oh, so he tells you about the beast clergyman too.
Yeah, so if you kill a mariner and you get some death root, then the next time you see him, which I believe is either in the village or at the round table, he'll say, "Oh, you got a talent for weeding death root. You should visit the clergyman." And he tells you about the transporter that's down the hills. It's behind the church where you find another thing that's amazing, the wondrous physic.
I do remember finding that.
Anyways, we'll get to the beast clergyman and everything. But yeah, so if you go around that way and go down the cliffs a little bit, I think there's a giant down there. A troll.
A troll,
Not a giant, a troll.
not a giant.
But then what is the church there? Church of...
Ooh, that's where my memory of things gets real shaky on names.
There is a church there. Melina has some words for us of, I believe... This is when we start to find out that Marika is not exactly a benevolent god. Because I think this is the... And again, scream it into your car if I'm wrong. I'll hear you and ignore it. I believe this is where she says that she divests everyone of their powers, and you can make of yourself what you will. These are the words of Marika that Melina tells us at the Grace. She says that Marika says, "I divest ye, my children," I believe, of your grace or whatever, and you can make of yourself what you will, be it a complete failure or a god, basically. And you kind of get the idea that, oh, wow, Marika doesn't really give about her children. Or anything.
I think I took that a little differently, because I would have taken that as ripping the predestined fate away from them and giving them the freedom to make whatever they will of themselves.
Okay.
So not necessarily, again, the most maybe caring action, but perhaps the intent behind it wasn't hyper nefarious.
That's true. I just have a whole... We can get into it because we're going to talk about Stormveil and the secret underneath Stormveil, but I have a whole crackpot theory about Marika.
I'm very excited to hear it.
All right, so moving on. We talked to D. He... we passed that?
Yep, we passed that. We passed that.
We're talking about the church where we found the Wondrous Physic. What do you think of the Wondrous Physic, Drew?
Oh, man. Wondrous Physic is what makes my build possible. Yes. Because, I should say it makes my build possible in the sense that it gives me more hope in playing than I would have, which makes me bolder in my attack choices. But whenever I fight, like, large bosses and things, I have my physic made so that it's all stamina boosting all the time. Yep. Because I'm physical damage, I carry real heavy weapons, I don't wear a ton of armor, and I need to be able to, like, roll a lot and block a lot and do a lot of, like, dodging and just things that eat up stamina all the time. And so my stamina bar, if you look at my HUD, my stamina bar is pretty stinking big.
Yeah.
My FP bar is about, like, small, medium, and then my health bar is little bitty health bar. Yeah, I put everything in endurance and stamina, so yeah, that physic really made things pop quite a bit. Once I could just, like, regenerate super fast, it was all over for everybody. Endless swings of ultra great swords at that point.
So what confuses me, I guess, about your build, because I thought I had it pegged down, because I'm like, okay, it's a glass cannon, physical damage build. I understand that. Block, don't get, or dodge, don't get hit. But then you started talking to me about, like, shield and you were amazed at my shieldless play, and I thought, how are you? And then it all clicks now with the stamina.
Oh yeah, it's stamina.
Interesting.
Yep. big ol' shield, big ol' sword or axe or spear or whatever I want to use, and then
Tiny man behind it.
Yep, exactly. I like to call it the Wizard of Oz build. The shield is my curtain.
I love it. So at this point, when you're okay, well, let's get a little further. So if we go down and around the hill, we hear we have another NPC interaction. Do you remember who?
Oh man, I'm not confident anymore.
Hello, is there anyone there who would help the distinguished?
Is it Kenneth?
Kenneth,
yes. Yes. Kenneth, I didn't get to until I was like 300 hours in.
Oh my god.
I did not find him the first time. I heard a voice and I was like, where is that? And I looked for a bit and I gave up.
The completion is how...
I know. But this is the thing, is I was like, maybe there's an item I'm missing where he's invisible. I can't see him yet or something. So I'm like checking item descriptions. Finally, I went back there and I found him. And yeah, I'd already done everything that he needed me to do.
I just need to give you a good slap on the rear. Get going,
pal. Yep.
Well, he's a perfect depiction of like a bureaucrat, I think. Mm-hmm. It's pretty funny. Turn us up again.
Okay,
we were laughing too much. Too much fun.
Sorry.
More like clippeth height.
Gosh. Oh, wonderful.
He's a perfect depiction of like a bureaucrat. He just like he comes across. He's like, I need someone to do a task for me, and you'll gain much prestige. And then we come up tarnished of no renown, and he's like, oh, tarnished. No. You can still do things for me, I believe. And it's very kind of like sneering at us being a tarnished. But he still wants us to go and reclaim his Fort Height from a blood-crazed knight. Mm-hmm. So at this point, you had already found the knight, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I'd already cleared the fort a few times, so...
I was like peak immersion at this point. This is when I was staying up way too late and playing it when I first got it.
Oh, okay.
And because this is like my first, I fought Margaret a few times and bounced off that because I was way too underleveled, didn't have any cool gear. And so I was like looking for other things to do, and I found the Blood Knight, and I was like, this is so cool. So you fight, let's go to you did the Fort Height encounter. How'd you like that?
I mean, I loved storming forts. Basically, any time that there was a building that I was supposed to go inside and do something was my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Like, the open world aspect, very, very cool. But getting to, like, romp around inside of a little castle or a big castle in some cases, that's, like, my favorite thing. I love, like, seeing what can I balance on? Can I get over to this area? Mm-hmm. Are there items hidden in a tower somewhere that I, can't access or something? And there's always a little reward for you and stuff. You start to realize the repetition towards the end of it, but even then it's like...
It's a huge world.
Yeah, it is. It'd be hard to make them completely unique experiences every time. But I always love doing the forts.
Yeah, they're super fun. This one has a few rats. Mm-hmm. It's got a few commoners throwing grenades at you, and then when you get to the top, well, actually outside, right? There's a big pumpkin head outside?
There is a big pumpkin head outside.
Yeah, and there's like a little, sorry, I'm forgetting everything. Mm-hmm. There's like a demi-humans that are coming up to approach, and then they're like shooting at them from the top of the tower, and then a big pumpkin head scrolls out, and you can do it kind of stealthy too. That's how I did it. I hid in the bushes and waited for him to pass, and then took out the soldiers and went up inside. But then we also get the Bloody Slash, and I believe one half of the Dectus medallion when we finish that quest.
Yep, because I did not understand what that item was supposed to be good for forever.
Nah. It doesn't come up for a while, but and then that's pretty much the end of that. The knight drops a Bloody Slash, and we go back to Kenneth, and when we demand our reward, he gives us an Erd steel dagger. Mm-hmm. Which I guess is good if you're doing like a dagger faith build, but
the Erd steel dagger is probably the best looking dagger, though.
It's pretty cool.
In my humble opinion.
I don't know, I'm a black knife guy.
Right. There's certain things that are so high fantasy to me that I'm like, this feels like a Fabio on the cover romance novel about some barbarian, It feels like that.
Well, the Black Knife, actually, I watched a video about how it's based in reality.
Really?
Because it mirrors a lot of African throwing daggers.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's pointy on all sides.
Oh, sure, okay.
So if you throw it at something, it's going to get stuck in it.
Well, no criticism to African throwing daggers at all. But
I could be completely wrong. Correct me in the comments.
When I think of like the daggers in this game, I think of like, what is it called? Reduvia?
Oh yeah.
Just like the weird, like, oh, this is really like chunky and odd looking, or like whatever the one is that you find, the Chinkada, I think it's called, with like the beast claws on it and stuff, where it's like I know what one of those is supposed to look like. And it bums me out when it's like, and now we're going to add this real chunky fantasy thing to it. Yeah. And so the Erdsteel dagger to me is like, no, that's just like a handsome dagger right there.
I don't know. I have a special place in my heart for like impractical fantasy things.
Oh, I love impractical fantasy. I use the ultra great swords all the time, so impractical is my middle name, but just when it's a little weapon.
Yeah.
When it's supposed to be a little guy.
Well, what really bothered me, which is hilarious, Dark Souls 3 I just played through, and so like Sigurd with his storm ruler, he goes into the Yorm fight and he points it ahead. He's like, your old friend, the Lord of Cinder, and he points it forward. And the handle of it clips into his arm. I'm like, why would you design it like that? Like, you knew he was going to point it forward and say Lord of Cinder. Why would you design it like that? It's going to clip.
Maybe it's lore. Maybe there's some deep...
Yes. The Knights of Katarina, they have a place in their armor so that they're...
We need a Vati video of the lore of the clipping.
The clipping sword of Sigurd. Okay, then we have the woods. What's it called?
Is this the Bear Woods?
Or Bear Woods. Bear and Wolf Wood.
Is that what it's actually called? That couldn't possibly be.
Is that what it's called? The Mistwood. The Mistwood. I thought that was very Tolkienian name of a wood, the Mistwood. Sounds like we got to hop down from the Shire and hop over to the Mistwood. Go have tea with Tom Bombadil.
I would love to have tea with Tom Bombadil. And I hate tea. But just to hang out with Tom.
Tom would put some magic stuff in it. You'd be...
I'd be on cloud 9. Turn into a bear or something.
But there's no Tom Bombadil in these woods. Instead, there are rune bears, which are terrifying.
Yes. Those are the only enemy that I don't like fighting at all.
How do you fight them?
You luck.
Yeah, you run away.
Yeah. I've successfully killed 2 and only 2. One of them was like a boss battle in a cave. That was, you have to fight that and win to survive and get out of there. The other one was the first one that I found when I got teleported there by my good friend Patches. And I fought and used every resource I had and won. And I was like, oh man, well, that was a crazy boss fight. And then I walked 3 steps to the left and found another one. And I was like, crap. And I avoid them now, no matter how overpowered I get.
Yeah.
You're never overpowered enough.
Don't
for
fight
one
the
of
rune
those.
bear.
Ugh.
Don't fight the rune bear.
No.
But there's some demi-humans. There's also a merchant. There's a little sign that's like, oh, come right over the hill. He's got some good stuff. And then we can also do the snap? And we can meet Blythe.
Yes.
And Blythe seems like a cool guy. He just seems like a murderer. He seems like his main thing is killing this guy, Darrowell. Yeah. But he seems honorable about it. But he seems, like, you want to come help me murder this guy?
Oh, I believed every word he said. As soon as he said it, I was like, well, that guy must be the most evil person on Earth. We should definitely kill him.
Do you want some scritches? He's very cute.
Yes, for being 20 feet tall.
All right, so we were talking about Blythe, the pupper. So
How do you pronounce that? Is it at the end?
yes.
Where does that come from?
It's there's some character in Beowulf, I believe, that has a DD and it's TH, and I learned that in high school. So when they started saying it made sense to me. But
So your wallet is gone for good, is what you're saying right now.
it's gone, yeah. Keys too. Who knows?
Okay, so it is it's a TH sound.
I do believe so, yes.
Okay, because every time I would look at that name, and anytime I would talk with anybody about it, I would very deliberately avoid saying anything.
Like Blythe.
Well, because I'm thinking it's like Blade, but with just a goofy accent, but then I can't quite tell if I'm hearing the NPCs finish with a TH or not. And it was just like all of any insecurities that I ever had would come bubbling up, and I'd be like, I don't even know how to play guitar. Like, I don't know what this, how could I figure out how to say this man's name?
Yeah.
So it's Blythe.
That's how I have just etched it into my consciousness.
Okay. Well, from here on out, that's what I'm going to call him
Good.
too.
I'm glad I gave you the confidence to make that
I
decision.
appreciate it.
I also hear people say it on YouTube, and I found all the ways that I hate when you say it.
Oh.
So I'm like, I just avoid those ways, and it's narrowed it down to like what I've settled on today.
What's the worst way? Just the single worst one that you can think of?
I think like when people just say like Blide or like Blade or just regular old Blade. Like they didn't even try. Just Blade. Just good old Blade. Anyways,
I love it.
It's negative.
Yeah.
That's negative.
Sorry, that's my fault. For anybody who's driving that's like, that is how I say it. That's my fault. You can hate me for it.
And if you're not driving, you can hate me.
Yeah.
Form 2 lines, please.
If you're stationary.
Yes.
Stationary people get to hate Alex. People in motion get to hate me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got that sorted out.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so he's a cute. Oh, the one thing I wanted to say is I found that this image of this man in armor with a big sword and a dog head is universally captivating. Can we think of any other media that maybe has that?
With a dog head, I can think of there's that scene in Game of Thrones where Robb Stark is brought out decapitated with his direwolf's head on his body.
There's that one. Yep, for sure.
That's maybe not a super happy one.
No, but like I was thinking Berserk. He has dog armor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain was not operating 100%, and that would make sense with the sword too.
Yes, the big giant sword.
Yes, the gut sword. Although I always think of the gut sword as being closer to the other gut sword in that game.
Yeah, well, that's the more direct homage. But yeah, it was pretty. But all that to say is like I have the friend that I was talking about when we were playing when I did that build so we could fight some bosses. Every time the loading screen came up and Blythe was on there, he was just like, I love that guy. I love him. He didn't know anything about him. We hadn't even encountered him in the game yet. But he was just obsessed with him. And I think that's like a big selling point of the game. That's why he's like on it so much. Is because they figured out like man, big sword, dog head look.
Yeah.
It's just like people are like, oh, I need that in my life.
When I first saw the image, I didn't know if he was a friendly character and I was...
He's both.
Well, right. I was so ready for him to be a giant boss.
Yeah.
I was ready for a fight like Sif's.
Oh, like for him to be like way larger than life?
Yeah, just way larger than life and be an arena fight that you had to do. And I was like, oh man, let's go.
Let's go.
But I was very happily surprised, and it was like, ooh, friend.
Yeah. He has some fun combat encounters later in the game, too. But that's about it for the Mistwood. And then once we come back around, there's a path to Caelid, and then that's pretty much back to West Limgrave when we go back around that way.
There is a little secret spot that if you are accustomed to playing the Elder Scrolls games like me, you may have gone and found a later in the game weapon early on, though.
Where's that?
At the border of Limgrave and Caelid, down on the beach, there's a little ledge with a cave up top. And if you manage your horse just right, you can glitch your way up there and get the sword, which is the what is the word? Eacade or something? Without actually going to Caelid to get it. So you get now what sucks is that you screw yourself where you go through that cave and then there's no reward at the end. But the Regalia of Eacade, that's what it is. Ooh, where are my keys? And that wound up being my main weapon.
Oh, arcane.
Yep, that wound up being my main weapon, despite how much I love using giant weapons.
It's a tiny one.
It is a tiny one, but it was I kind of like rolled into a Spartan build, and it's just the right last detail for that.
Yeah, it looks so good. So that's fun. We got that little. I imagine they patched that at this point.
Oh, I have no idea.
Like they patched a bunch of stuff where you can't get to areas you're not supposed to because they put like extra boulders and stuff.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Let players break your game.
Let
That's
players
half
break
the
your
fun.
game. Come on. I know you worked really hard on it for months, but we just want to screw around with it.
Yeah, that's the fun. It's a game.
So, the round table hold. That's something that we gain access to after lighting a few bonfires is what I wanted to say, but touching a few graces or fighting Margit for the first time.
Yep, I got it after Margit.
As did I. I thought it was funny how she said that her worries were unfounded, and I felt like her worries were very founded because I just got my face smashed in by Margit.
Over and over and over?
Over and over. I'm like, lady, you might have the wrong tarnish. But no, she invites us to the round table. We get there, and we meet a fun cast of characters.
Yes.
Who initially did you talk to when...
Well, I think the first person I talked to was... Why do I keep wanting to call him Darius?
Darius.
What is his name? The guy with the red armor, fancy boy.
Darius.
But the fancy lad, you know?
Fancy lad is...
The Hoslow...
Yeah, I don't remember his first name, though.
Yeah.
He's always like, have you seen a girl named Liana?
Yep.
She's such a little tomboy.
Yep.
I don't remember his name.
That guy.
Dialos.
What? That's not Darius.
Darius.
Dialos, yeah. I think I spoke with him first.
Yeah, he was very striking.
Yeah, it's just the fancy armor against kind of the drab brownish hue of everything around, but that made me so paranoid to go like looking everywhere that I could to see if there were any female NPCs, because I was like, oh, this guy's got to have a very important quest. Look at his armor, you know. I should find this person. Yeah. But yeah, I talked to him, and then I talked to the guy with the Mandalorian helmet, but the otherwise weirdly proportioned armor.
Sir Gideon Ofnir!
Yep.
They are knowing!
Yes, indeed. Yep, spoke with him. Got a couple of insults from him, which is typical from the NPCs in this game. And found out I was welcome there as a guest, but not allowed to call it home, which that made me think, like, is there a limited amount of times that I can, like, come and go? So then I'm like, well, I got to find every nook and cranny that I can.
Yeah.
And so then what I did right after that was...
Don't you recognize a From Software hub world when you see one?
I think I'm always scared that they're going to change things pretty drastically.
Fair enough.
So I was like, oh, I've got to, like, make as good a time, good a use of this as I possibly can. I'm trying to remember if you are allowed to talk to Hugh yet.
You are? Yep.
And if you're allowed to drop down.
You are.
Yes.
If you so want to. But there's a couple other NPCs there. Mm-hmm. There's Corhin.
Mm-hmm.
Who is, I'm a man of the cloth.
Mm-hmm.
And
who puts up, let's just put it on the record, absolutely zero real fight when you try to get him to commit heresy and teach you things that he shouldn't be looking at.
Yeah, he's like, well, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could, because I gave him immediately the skin Bible that
Yep.
I found downstairs in the castle, and he was like, "Oh, this is fine. Yeah, here's how you make a black fireball."
Yeah, real man of the cloth.
Real man of the cloth. Conviction.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seems okay. And then who else do we have?
Well, I don't think that Rodrika gets there right away.
No.
But she does get there. I think the
get there
next time that you come to the round table hold, she's there.
Well, there's a couple ways you can advance her quest to get there. We
Okay.
talked earlier about the chrysalid's memento.
So is that one of the things? Do you give it to her or something?
Yeah, so you find that on that corpse pile that we played around on with the dogs, and then you give that to her, and I can't remember the exact sequence of events, but that I think you give that to her at round table hold.
Mm-hmm.
And then that inspires her to drop the red hood, because if you notice, she doesn't have
Yeah,
a
it
hood
doesn't have the
once
hood
she becomes
anymore.
a spirit tuner.
Yeah.
But in a hilarious move from Software, all that stuff happens.
Off camera.
No, whether you do any of that stuff or
Oh,
not.
okay.
Like, nothing is required to get all those events. You
Okay.
can get the red hood. You can get her as a spirit tuner.
Because I don't think I gave her that chrysalid thing.
I did, because I thought it'd be really important.
Oh yeah, that's why when I found it my second playthrough, I was like, "What did I miss with this?"
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay.
A little bit of dialogue where she's like,
okay.
"I guess I better be brave."
Oliver Twist as Rodrika.
Yeah,
I love
basically. I mean, isn't? Okay.
Yeah.
So Rodrika shows up eventually, and she's like, this place is awesome. And then
Hugh.
Yeah, the blacksmith, which is cool. I never realized that he's
a demi-human, isn't he?
No, he's a misbegotten.
Misbegotten. Pardon me.
I get those.
Yeah, I
confused, too.
get those confused too.
But yeah,
Sorry to all the misbegottens and demi-humans out there.
But apparently they did something with his face different than the other misbegottens. I don't know. Like,
He doesn't have the crazy wide mouth.
Yeah.
The basketball shaped head that all the other misbegottens have.
Yeah, the crazy smile.
Yep.
So he's a little bit more
normal
friendly
features.
looking.
Yeah.
But we can ask him about his chains, and then at some point we come in and he's praying to America, saying he wants to slay a god. I'm not going to say what's the deal with, because we said we weren't going to do that bit. That's not our bit. What's going on with Hugh?
What are the deep-seated motivations of this character? My understanding is that, and this comes down to if everything that Marika did was premeditated or not. That Marika potentially knew that you'd have to fight her other half.
Yeah.
And so in order to do that, she, before making everything bad, basically told Hugh that he needed to make a weapon that could kill a god, with the intention of making that weapon for whatever tarnish was rising to the challenge at the time.
Where is the round table hold? What is the purpose of the round table hold?
Well, I can tell you where it is. It is
Where
in
is
the
it?
bottom left corner of the map.
Ah. How did I miss that?
Yeah. I think it is some interdimensional timey-wimey nonsense.
Well, I think, interdimensional timey-wimey is like jolly cooperation, right? That's
okay.
a Dark Souls thing. But I think the round table hold is an actual place.
Okay.
Because as Nefeli says, I knew you'd receive a summon here.
Yeah.
Rodrika got a summon to the round table hold. I think that the round table hold is in the Erd tree.
In the Erd tree.
And I think it's like a projection in Marika's mind. That she created a kind of pocket dimension of the original round table hold, which was the fortified mansion.
Right.
As a place to kind of safeguard and build up the tarnish that she knew would eventually come to try and mend the Elden Ring, with hopes of, putting Hugh there, putting some Two Fingers there to give us the information and so that we could accomplish her goals. But I think that it's in the Erd tree, and it's something that Marika is sustaining some sort of like pocket dimension.
Interesting.
And the summons comes at the behest of America to say, oh, this tarnished is useful. I'm going to kind of bring them into my fold. Roundtable Hold, the only other eventful things that happen are once the fingers talk to us, then we can go into Gideon's study. Mm-hmm. And he is in really bad posture when he's reading.
And just a bad mood.
Yeah.
He's sort of nice to you when he's insulting you as a guest.
But
what
once
a sucky dude.
Yeah, once he's like, oh, they're actually powerful. So that's the Roundtable Hold right now. There's one more thing.
Oh, one more thing. What's that?
We forgot the stone sword key doors at the bottom of the Roundtable Hold.
That's correct.
They're not really exciting. It's just one of the...
I thought they were exciting.
Oh, well, why don't you tell us about them? Because I didn't think they were that exciting.
I thought they were exciting because of the first item that you get down there, which is the black crossbow, the like sniping crossbow, the super long range crossbow, and then the key, what do they call them? The key something bolts for it.
Black key bolts?
The black key bolts, yep.
What do those do?
They just have increased range. Oh. But I was like, oh, something happened down here. We're getting gear from old people that used to be here.
Mm-hmm. We also get the Assassin's Prayer Book.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So some assassin was using the Roundtable Hold. I think it's Crespus.
Okay.
Who we get Crespus's vial later, which eliminates all of our movement when we make sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, thank you, Smotown, for giving me all this useless information on Crespus. I don't know. Did we talk about Selin last time?
We only briefly mentioned Selin last time.
A lady with a nice stone head and more bare feet, more elden feet.
Of course.
And she sells us spells.
Yep.
But she kind of derides us.
Yeah. She sells us spells very condescendingly.
Yes.
Which I've grown to love in those games.
She's great.
Yeah. The start of one of the many messed up storylines that you get to be a party to.
It's a cool storyline.
It is a really cool storyline, and the places that you get to go through it. I mean, every storyline really does have a pretty unique, full playthrough experience. There's always an interesting choice of, do I side with this person? Do I side against this person? And I think pretty great rewards on either end of it. So it does reward at least, one additional playthrough every time.
I agree. I do think, though, as a first playthrough, the quest, because when I first played it, there weren't NPC markers.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Which I thought a lot of times because the character that's related to Selin is Witch Hunter Jaren, which is super far away from her.
Oh, yeah.
Where even is that dude? He's in Caelid?
He's in Caelid, and officiating the Radon Festival.
Yeah, so at that time, I had not met him yet because I had not ventured down to the Red Main. So I'm just obviously like, this lady seems nice. She's giving me spells. Definitely going to side with her. Whereas I think sometimes this game suffers a little bit from its size because the two related NPCs, like Nefeli and what's his face? Celavus.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like so far apart that it's like, are you even related? But their quests are very related. Mm-hmm. But you just don't draw that at the time.
Sure.
When you meet one of them, it's not like, or you meet them individually. You're not like, oh, these are going to coincide, and I'm going to have to pick. Because I think you had an issue with.
I did.
Yeah,
yes.
We can talk about that later. But a certain potion that somebody drank. Spike the punch.
Yeah, darn.
Okay, so that's about it for the East Coast. Boston Limgrave. And we're headed into Stormveil Castle.
Yeah. Legacy Dungeons.
Stormveil Castle, pretty interesting. We talked about when we were playing how you beat Margit and you step through that what looks like just a tiny little door frame. And then it's like, boom, you're right at the gate of Stormveil Castle. And it's overwhelming. Got the birds soaring high above, and
the birds, the weather, like the little glimpse of the Erd tree, and it's a whole thing. Like, it's artwork. It's just
Indeed.
moving artwork that you can look at from every angle. It's so good. The color choices, the design of the castle, the like perfect looking parts and the busted up looking parts. Everything about it is just magic. It's so good.
Well, there has seemed to have been a battle at Stormveil. Who? Who?
What?
When? Well, what? Probably fireballs or a battering ram or something. But why? When? Who attacked? When? Why?
Right.
I keep saying these questions.
I keep not answering them because I don't know.
We can continue this way. Is this entertaining?
Probably not.
Dang it! I thought we cracked it for a second. But yeah, so I don't know. So Godrick, before there was the Storm King who owned it, which I assume King of the Storm is a big hawk.
I would have to think so, yeah.
And then he fought God
Win or free?
the first Elden Lord, when Marika was conquering the world.
Sure.
And he beat the King of the Storm, and then he kind of got mad respect from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, long after that, Godrick fled Leyndell, dressed as like a lampshade or something, with his mimic veil. I think Kenneth Haidt, our bureaucrat, is like, how disgraceful! He snuck out with the women folk. Kind of like takes a dump on Godrick and his reputation.
Makes you wonder how Kenneth Haidt got out of his situation.
Yeah, and what is Kenneth Haidt? He looks like a Tarnish, but he acts like... Anyways.
Yeah.
Then Godrick, after he fled Leyndell, he's hiding in Stormveil because all the Stormveil people are loyal to him because he's a long lost something of God free.
Mm-hmm. He's related somehow.
Yes, somehow long down the line. So that's a long history.
Mm-hmm.
So did all those battle scars come from one of those battles, or are they recent?
I mean, I would say with the plants growing through all of the holes, that means that the battles would have had to have taken place either at the time that event occurred or before that. I don't know if we're naming that event yet, but before that event occurred, right?
Okay, spoilers, we're a year out. I think we're going to talk, if you really don't want to know, turn it off.
Yep.
We're talking about Godwyn the Death,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that spread all of the thorns, because we
Right.
see him on the Marred shield, like we talked about,
Yep.
and on the exile soldiers.
Yep. So the question for me is, are all of the like holes in the wall and everything because of that? Did they get blown out of the wall?
Oh.
Right? Or did they wrap around holes and broken the things that already existed broken?
I'm gonna go for the holes were there and then
it grew out of them?
Yeah, because so that means that the battle scars have to be if that's the case, they have to be really old.
Mm-hmm.
Because wait, I guess not, because the Shattering was a big war, so there could have been a fight at Stormveil after Godwyn died. I guess is what we're trying to figure out. Was there a fight at Stormveil after Godwyn died?
Sure.
Or was all that damage done before he died?
I'm inclined to think that the damage would have happened not after, but like when.
When?
If
so
that
you
makes
like
sense.
That, you like that it was blown out when like he died and
I don't know if it was blown out or just like pushed out gradually. Like how, a tree growing next to some structure can like slowly shift that structure to the point of its collapse, right?
Okay.
So my thought is that perhaps there was some like prior small damage and then those just exacerbated it.
That's good.
Because you still have planks and stuff that are laid down on top of that stuff. I mean, it seems like they've adjusted to it rather than tried to repair it or anything like that. Maybe you can't repair it. I don't fully know the nature
Of a thorn created by the death of a demigod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, someone who knows an awful lot about that, we can talk a little bit about the encounters leading up to him, but Rajier, he's in Stormveil Castle, and he's searching for something. He asks us what the heck we're doing here, because Godrick has been grafting any tarnish that he finds there. That's why Rodrika's men were brought. That's why she wants to go and get her freak on in the grafting process. So Rajier, what do you make of him?
Rajier seems like the Indiana Jones type to me.
Oh.
A little bit. I mean, maybe not trying to bring everything into a museum, but just like the weirdly curious, doesn't necessarily want to be out in harm's way, but feels the call to do it despite what he wants.
Yeah.
That's like the read I got on him. And it seemed like at the start he was going to be not a sidekick, but almost like a guide kick, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like a Solaire type?
Like a Solaire type, yeah.
Yeah.
Where he's going to be like running almost a parallel.
Yeah, track to you.
Yeah.
Well, he has a whole little side quest that I have never done. So if you talk to him at Stormveil, he says he's searching for something. He doesn't tell you what. But then later he shows up basically as a paraplegic in the round table hold in the balcony off to the side, which is always sketchy in a FromSoft game when an NPC can't be in the main room of your hub area.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, what is it, Suspicious Beggar, that guy from Demon Souls, Yurt. They're always hanging off to the side because they can't be in the main room. So I'm like, a little sketchy, this guy. But apparently, I don't know, before or after this, he'll tell you to go to the Black Knife Catacombs to get information about death.
I wonder if I did that, because I remember him being like sitting down in that chair in like half a sack.
Yeah.
And there's like flies and stuff.
He looks like he did a big stinky in his pants.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And I mean, that also led to me jumping down and fighting the invader down there, whose name I can't remember, but whose fight I will never forget.
The Taunty McGee, I think was his name.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, I think that.
Taunty McTauntface.
Yes. Oh, you've gotten it. Thanks, buddy.
Yes. The mad taunt.
The mad taunt.
Sorry.
Why did we call the show that?
I don't know, man. We've already got a good name.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Rajier, he has a big stinky in his pants and he can't move his legs anymore. He gives you his rapier, which is cool.
Yes.
But if we go down to the bottom of Stormveil, we see a blood stain. Have you seen this?
I don't know that I have.
Oh, so we're skipping a lot of combat encounters, and maybe we can go over the combat more next time.
Yep.
But the big hits of Stormveil Castle, we find Godwin's like blown up monster face in the bottom of the castle with an ulcerated tree spirit too.
Yep.
But there's a blood stain, and if you interact with it, you see Rajier there, and he's just standing there, and then he gets cursed, he gets death rooted.
Oh.
And he and it like goes up through his middle. So that's what happened to him.
Interesting. I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
I so often avoid touching the bloodstains just because I'm like, I don't need to see how some other idiot died, and then I die.
In this case.
Interesting. I guess, to your knowledge, have they used bloodstains as a means of storytelling prior to this? Because I don't remember anything like that in Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3 with bloodstains like having to do with actual characters.
I'm sure someone will correct us, but not to my knowledge.
Okay.
There he is, Godwin's corpse. And here's our blood stain.
This is the one, huh?
Yep. There's Rajier.
Oh.
We don't see what lifts him up, which is kind of scary, but he gets impaled.
We
by
learn
something.
later. We learn hard later.
Oh, yeah. Godwin's like third eye nipple thing.
Yeah.
If you hit the corpse, it it's bloody.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why I was like, is this rock? And I smacked it a few times. I'm like, oh, it's bleeding. I don't think it's rock.
So that's flesh
turning
to wood of some sort. It's weird because, like, how big was Godwin?
Probably like Godrick size.
Okay. So if he's Godrick size.
Or Godfrey size.
Yeah, or that would make more sense. Why is he so big here? Did it transform him into this horrible thing?
Well, I think the idea...
This is like a Floop from Spy Kids situation?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait a second, we gotta...
Poke him right in the nose. Because, there's like roots extending from him with spikes all over it. And then, I love this. So this is a classic snake eater ladder right here that we have to climb up. But if you tilt the camera back around, you get the lovely view of Godrick's corpse for almost like a whole minute. Which I guess is intentional.
Yeah, I just remember I found this the first time so late at night. I mean, it would have been 1, 2 in the morning or something. And I have a tendency to get really, really, like, spooked by stuff.
Yeah.
But not, like, immediate spooked, but, like, a slow burn spook where I'm just thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And that definitely triggered that for me, where I was just, like, sitting alone in my basement, like...
What is this? Why is this here?
Yeah. That type of death in this game is the most disturbing type of death.
Oh, yeah.
The curse, like the death. Yeah. Oh, it's so scary when it happens. Yeah. And it hasn't happened to me yet.
Oh, lucky.
But I have watched it happen to an NPC. And have watched it happen to... I'm trying to remember if I... Who else did I watch that happen to? Maybe one of the enemies or something. Because I didn't realize that there are sometimes enemies that can use that, like non-bosses that can use stuff like that. Crustaceans that can use stuff like that.
Oh, the snails. Death snails? Skull snails?
Are snails crustaceans? No, I'm talking about the crabs.
Oh, the death crabs. Yeah. There's all kinds of things that are... There's a great video. I don't know. I think it's a Smotown video.
Okay.
Where he talks about like how Godwin's death like cursed the whole world, and it's like the death root is seeping through everything.
Interesting.
What's next on the list, Drew?
Nepheli Loux would be the next thing on the list.
Nepheli Loux.
Yes, the barbarian woman.
Yes.
And man, I am so excited. I'm on my New Game Plus finally, and this time I have resolved to not accidentally kill her.
So you ran into the room and saw the dead banished knight and heard her talking, and was just...
No, in a slight spoiler for later, I gave her an item that I shouldn't have given her because I just saw the prompt to give somebody something, and I was like, well, usually that's happy, and it was not happy this time.
Yikes.
Yep. Whoopsie. That's me not paying close enough attention.
Nepheli Lou's pretty cool. I thought that she was she's one of my favorite NPCs, I think. I just like her voice. I love the voice actor's performance. I don't know who they are, but I think the performance is really nice. It's very like, I don't know. Sometimes the voice acting performances we've talked about have been very over the top.
Oh, yes.
And it kind of takes you out of the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
It is entertaining, but I thought the Nepheli Loux voice performance was very like grounded and real, and like just giving a soldier his last rites, and then saying that like he's tainted the very winds with his grafting and stuff. Like felt very serious.
Yes, it did.
Totally correct.
I also have to say, and this is maybe one of my only criticisms of FromSoft, just their practices of doing things. It was nice to hear a female character that sounded like a grown woman and not just like the real small voice thing that they tend to do for a lot of their female characters.
This world is peaceful, its inhabitants kind.
Yeah.
Jump ye off the bridge.
You're talking the exact character that I was picturing as well. the painted world, right?
Yes,
Yep,
Priscilla is who I
Priscilla.
was going for.
Yeah, but like
Miss
so.
Furry Feet herself.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So yeah, it's nice to hear like a female character that's like, oh, this sounds like a normal person. You know?
Yeah, they definitely raise the bar on their lady characters.
Yes.
I think, yeah, a lot of them have been very passive characters who are more support roles. And in this time, you know, I feel like Melania is the fully fleshed out, like, Sister Freed, what's her name? Lady Maria idea. And it's like, oh, it's just so good. It's very rich. It's defined. People were dumping on. That's an idea for another time.
Yeah.
Like, people did not like Melania as a lady character.
Oh, that's too bad.
Or at least loud people with blogs didn't.
Yeah, well, that's the only people that have blogs usually.
But yeah, I thought Nefeli was another great active character because you can summon her for Godrick, and then make a choice kind of about, you know, whether or not she eventually becomes a very important person for Stormveil.
Yes,
Spoilers.
indeed. Yes. And that's been the real fun of this playthrough for me is like I finally understand what I missed out on. And so getting to actually make it happen is very exciting to me. I've already cleared out Fort Height. I've already cleared that out and started making the way for it. And now I'm going to be paying extra close attention to all of the dialogue prompts and making sure that I don't do anything dumb this time around.
Well, so Nefeli wears the what is it? The
champion
set, yeah, which looks awesome.
It does look awesome.
And she also uses 2 Stormhawk axes, which is a good little reminder, I think, too, to new players that dual wielding is a thing.
Yes, a very good thing.
Yeah, and if you have 2 weapons of a similar type, you can dual wield them. So we talked a little bit when we were playing the game about how everything in Stormveil seems really, really considered and aimed at the serious Souls fan, whereas Limgrave was more of a, hey, we're doing a new thing, isn't it fun? And Stormveil is like, don't worry, we got your back.
Yep.
We have interesting NPCs, we have, you know, crisscrossing level design and circles within circles, all the stuff we love.
Yeah, it's like well-composed music where every note actually is supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, oh, I guess this sounds nice. Like,
yes.
No, they meant to do that, and it's a very nice, reassuring feeling to play through.
Yeah, for sure. So Nefeli Lu's super cool, and if we help her defeat Godrick, whether by ourselves or without her, she shows up in Round Table Hold after this.
Yep.
And gives us the Arsenal Charm.
Yes, indeed.
Which is a nice charm.
Which she got off of a corpse, right?
Yes.
She got off of... Didn't she get it off of Godrick's corpse?
Perhaps. She just said she found it on a corpse, I think.
Oh.
She says, like, I don't make a habit of scavenging corpses or something.
No, I feel like I remember her saying specifically that she took it from him.
Oh, well, maybe.
Which is one of the other kind of funny little hints at how kind of pathetic of a character, not necessarily pathetic of a boss fight, but pathetic of a character Godrick is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because it's also the lowest level arsenal charm. Like, it's just he's the lowest level of everything that he does in his attempts to be worthy.
Yeah. And then we haven't really talked much about Gostock, who poses us a question at the... Well, he kind of says, hey, over here. You're just the kind of tarnished I like. I'm trying to change my voice away from... There's another character that sounds a lot like that. Anyways.
You're doing the Jason Statham Gostock?
Yes, Jason Statham Gostock. How did you know? But he tells us that we can either go through the gate, he'll open it for us, or we should really sneak around.
Yeah.
And then he'll try and trap us in a room with a banished knight to chop our head off. And he'll steal our souls. If we die in the castle, he'll steal like half of the souls. He only has one arm.
How did I not notice that he only has one arm?
Yeah, he only has one, well, it's like forearm.
Yeah. Did he get partially grabbed? This is me not paying attention. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he stalks you through the whole area, basically. on your way through.
Yep. It enlightened me on that there's several locations you can find and talk to him besides the main gate. Which is super exciting.
Yep.
And we visited some of those. Maybe there will be footage of that.
Yep.
But yeah, he only has one arm, so it's assumed that he got grafted at some point.
Interesting.
But there seems to be some cut dialogue that suggests that he was intended to be Godrick's son.
Huh.
And that's kind of why he has a hatred for him, because Godrick kind of just took his arm and said, F off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then at the end, after we beat Godrick, he's like stomping his little head.
Yep.
And what does he call him, a weasel or something?
I mean, he calls him a bunch of stuff. He basically just says that he's pathetic, which is the same sense that we get from the items.
To the bone.
That's what he says, yes. Yeah, second use of Craven in that game, I think. Which is a word I'd never heard before.
Really?
Yeah.
Good word.
Yeah, it is a good word. But yeah, like even the image after the fight of the remains of Godrick, you realize like, oh, he was not that big of he was a normal sized dude.
Yeah.
Who just, done a bunch of horrible things to prop himself up as bigger than he was.
Indeed.
And an analogy to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, indeed.
Fighting for power.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We won't go there.
Getting deep on the Maidenless podcast.
We won't get that deep.
So we just came out of the little room where we were trapped with the Banished Knight by Gostock. My second playthrough, I actually knocked him off. I killed Gostock at the beginning.
Really? Why'd you do that?
So he doesn't lock you in.
You're not into getting some good end game materials.
I kind of wanted to just see what would happen. Like, I never attack NPCs, so I was kind of like, I have a good reason to attack.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that guy always catches me by surprise.
Got that little nice
left
ambush.
Corner. I only just found out that he stalks you.
Yes.
I had never realized that until this playthrough. Just because when I'm chugging along through a place, like, I don't go backwards too much unless there's like multiple paths to take. But for whatever reason, I just never noticed that he was chasing after you, getting scared whenever you'd walk up to him.
Oh, so he actually like the character model follows you around?
He spawns at different places. Have you ever interacted with him?
I mean,
you're not going to get to this playthrough, but
no, I don't. He's already stomping Godrick's head, I believe, right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
on your way there, he shows up in like I found him twice. I don't know if he shows up more than that, but in two separate places. Once in that little area that you just were in. He spawns at the lowest level, right when you walk in, and you could go forward and find that exiled knight or whatever you call him, the exile guy with the big axe. Did you lose control there?
Yeah.
Nice.
Weird.
But yeah, he spawns there, and then I found him again on top of the church where you meet Rajier.
Wow.
Yep.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
what does he say?
I don't remember the exact quotes, but it's something along the lines one of the times of like, oh, hey, oh yeah, I'm just cleaning up the bodies. You wouldn't want those to be lying around. So that's like the first time. And then the second time, he's like, oh, thank goodness you're still alive, like that sort of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And he gives you a grace mimic. Oh. I think the first time that you catch him following you.
What does a grace mimic do?
I've never used it.
I've never used it either.
It says in the item description, I think it says something like it gives like a light, but without order. I think it's supposed to like give you some sort of hint on where you're supposed to go.
Let's use one. Let's see what it does.
What? Yeah, so it just points.
Oh, so it's not a checkpoint, but it tells you where to go.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
Mimicking a grace.
Oh,
man, if you could just bring a grace with you everywhere you went.
That's coming in the next game, probably.
You think so? Just they're giving in full-on easy mode?
Yeah, full-on easy mode.
Checkpoint wherever you want, guys.
Wherever you want it. Well, I stopped here because we get out of the first kind of inside part of Stormveil, the servants' quarters, as it were. And then we're treated to a lovely view of the Chapel of Anticipation and the Grafted Scion boss arena.
Yeah.
Which is super cool and pretty. So we're now in the like grafting chamber, which is pretty cool. And there's a shortcut here that takes us back to Liftside Chamber, I believe.
Yes, I don't want to go that way. I want to go this way, where the fun is. There's
a Grafted Scion, lots of bodies. So we're to assume that this is kind of where they dump the tarnish and then chop their limbs off to put on grafted things. And then we're coming down to the armory area where we got 2 exile knights, one with a great axe, both with great axes. And this is where we get the wet blade, I believe.
Yes, indeed.
So we can do infusions.
From this guy, right?
Yep. There's a little blacksmith with an anvil by a pot of what we can only assume is Estus soup. I definitely ignored it. So this is where we come out of the grafting chamber and we're greeted to a whole metric ton of soldiers.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, still got some. And then we go down to the left, and there's a bunch of rats. In a looks like a storage.
Oh wow! I cannot hit these guys. You dirty rat. Oh, and that's just Lion's Claw. If you, does it do it? Is that literally just Lion's Claw with no explosion?
Well, Lion's Claw does a big overhead slam. And
I guess this stabs down.
Yeah.
That's still a pretty useful move.
Yeah, totally.
I like that. All right.
I love all the, like, I like that they didn't just add jump and say, it's jump. They actually gave some thoughts to, like, Ashes of War and stuff that take you off the ground, and you can dodge stuff. It's really cool.
That animation of inserting these stone sword keys makes me so happy. The only thing that would make me happier is if there was like that. There's this sound effect thing. There's the Godslayer's seal.
Yep, we're in the secret Godskin Apostle chamber.
And the prayer book.
The Godskin prayer book.
And it opens up to the gate. If you want to get the drop on some suckers.
Yeah, this area confused me so much. I think that's kind of
over here. Nothing's over here.
Death.
Yes.
Death. But I like that this area was so circles and circles and circles like an actual castle would be.
Yeah.
Because when you first explore it, it seems humongous. It's like, where am I? You're looking at this little tiny map. I remember pulling it up and just being like, I hardly moved at all, but I'm in a completely different environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you know all the nooks and crannies, you can cut through it in 5 seconds, you know.
After that, we've got the Godskin hideout, which we talked about a little bit.
The Godskin hideout, yeah.
But I would like to know, were they spies? Was it people that lived there that were kind of like soured on the Golden Order and all of that stuff and kind of turned to it?
Well, this brings up the Godskins
assassins?
for the first time, right? Because that's when I thought it was, when I first played the game, I didn't think it was Godskin. I thought it was God's kin.
Ah.
And obviously I didn't read the item description of the prayer book. I just handed it to somebody and said, teach me the fireball spell. But it's a book made out of human flesh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's skin. So, yeah. It kind
missed a golden opportunity for a Bruce Campbell cameo.
Yeah.
They could the book of human skin.
The Necronomicon.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could have had it all, but no. But sorry, go on.
But yeah, so we don't really know who they are, and I don't think in the game we would have encountered any of them at this point.
No, my first Godskin encounter that I recall isn't until Caelid.
Oh, and mine wasn't until I believe Altus Plateau.
Oh wow,
Windmill Village.
Okay, I got to them way early then.
So you're talking about Divine Tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yep. One of my other favorite weird puzzle platform places that we'll get to. So
Divine Tower's cool. So we kind of get the prayer book and the Godslayer seal.
Yep.
But we really don't get any other information about them. But I think we can kind of imply that it's a covert operation because it's behind a stone sword seal. Yeah, and then
there's a couple of covert operations going on then.
Yeah,
because
in
you
Stormveil.
also hit like, you get how many Crucible Knights up to that point? Like you get the one kind of wandering around the edges of the castle.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what covert operation are the Crucible Knights working for?
So my crackpot theory.
That's our new bit. Cracked pot theory. Ba-dum-ba-dum.
So, and this may stem from misunderstanding, but the Crucible Knights, and we haven't really talked about them or their motivations yet, but they are part of the like, what is that other tree called?
The Crucible.
Oh yeah, well duh, the Crucible Knights. Yeah, so they're like part of this other tree, right? They're part of the like kind of more primordial magic, the stuff that was there before.
Well, yeah, the
Golden
Crucible. The Crucible. It says is the Erd tree in its primordial form.
Yeah. So it's before it gets taken over by the Greater Will.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. The whole Greater Will is a parasite thought process popping up.
The uncracked pot theory.
Yes. And so my thought was that because all of the like death stuff happened a while before you get there, right?
Yeah.
Like a fair while before you get there.
We'll probably do a whole chronology episode eventually.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That'd be just beneficial for me.
For me as well.
So in my mind, the Crucible Knights are also making a go at becoming Elden Lord. And that this is one of the knights scoping out the area, basically trying to find a way into the castle like you are trying to do.
Yeah, to take Godrick's Great Rune.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and I guess this is a little spoilery because we don't, at this point, I was clueless to who the Crucible Knights were. I just was like, these guys kick my ass. That's all I know about them. They can step really far. And
that lunge is, that is a powerful
deadly.
lunge.
It
Yep.
has killed me. I can't count how many times that's killed me. But yeah, so we eventually find out that they are Godfrey's original soldiers that he took into battle against the Stormlord. When he originally took Stormveil Castle.
Okay.
And I think they also fought the Fire Giants too.
So maybe he's just a remnant that's been there.
Well, that's one idea. The other idea is that I was thinking that the Crucible Knights are also tarnished. And when Marika threw out all of Godfrey's forces, she threw out them too. And so they're coming back to kind of pave the way for Godfrey, unbeknownst to us.
Okay. So it's not a, hey, one of you guys get in there and become the Elden Lord. It's a, hey, one of our guys is going in.
Yeah.
Make way for him.
Yeah, and get everything ready for Godfrey because he's coming back.
So he's still probably a scout then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And I think that's what a lot of the Crucible Knights... I think some of them are left behind because like we encounter a lot of them in like dungeons and like Erd Tree burial chambers and stuff too. So
one of them in an Everjail.
Yeah. So a lot of questions. Again, please comment below if you know
please.
What's the deal with the...
What's the deal with Crucible Knights?
We can't have that. There's already a creator who's taken that. I gotta stop saying it. We have to make our own gimmicks. Cracked pot theory.
Cracked pot theory. That's solidly ours. Okay.
TM. Let's cap off Stormveil Castle with our big encounter at the end, which is Godrick the Grafted.
Yep.
Hands down, has to be top 5
for you.
For me.
Nice. As far as like boss encounters,
boss encounters in the entire game.
Sure. I mean, he's up there for me. Maybe not top 5, but because the fight itself isn't as dynamic as I like a fight to be. If that makes sense, like.
Yeah, I guess so. Once you get it figured out.
It's pretty straightforward.
Formulaic.
Yeah, but it is a spectacle to behold. The cutscenes are more of the scenery chewing that I love in that game. For like 30 seconds, so great. And yeah, the dragon head. Oh.
Yeah. Bear witness.
Yes, oh my goodness gracious. And just it does have that weird tragic element that I love in any of the FromSoft enemies of like just a crazy guy driven mad by trying to prove himself worthy of something.
Indeed.
It's just like watching agonizing pain, and it's so enjoyable. It sounds horrible to say, I get that, but like
I get that.
it's so effective to me, where it's like, indeed. Wow, I am watching a guy just way past the end of his rope, like out of his mind, doing deplorable things in an effort to try and prove himself to a bunch of people that probably don't even know he exists.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, we talked a little bit of his backstory, how he snuck out of Lanedale, but they also talked about how he challenged Melania and got whooped by Melania.
Yep.
And then he like ran and hid from Radahn because Radahn was searching for him. So yeah, big coward, turns to grafting. There's a lovely scene that we saw when we were playing today. His grafting room where we go down in this cathedral and there's a grafted scion, which I think their story is super interesting. The grafted scions are like Godrick, children who are born of some sort of noble offshoot. They're some related to somebody's nephew's cousin's daughter. And so Godrick tries out all of his grafting procedures on them first to make sure they work on him. Because if they work on someone who's less bloodliney than him, then they'll definitely work on.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they have a real tragic story. So there's this grafted scion down in this little mess hall looking area with a huge portrait of Godfrey and Siraj, and then a Highland axe item pickup there. So yeah,
lots of arms and legs and stuff hanging from the ceiling as well.
Yeah, you saw that, all the arms and legs hanging from the ceiling. So presumably it's a kind of
experiment room.
Yeah,
a lab of sorts.
It reminded me, the more I think about it, it reminds me of like the dragon acolyte rooms in Dark Souls 2 in Aldia's, where you go in the little rooms and there's like the little cauldron and some guys going about some mundane tasks in service of this bigger like arcane ritual.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to me to see the little like, the little peons just going about their day like, I got to get today's ritual materials ready or my boss is going to kill me.
And then they just get murdered by you.
My boss will have my head. Yeah, then...
It really does make the Tarnished a slightly less sympathetic character.
Well, he looked at me funny.
That's fair. Just a barrel of fun though.
Indeed.
The rolling around stuff. He's just got great animations. Since we talked about most of it before, that's all I'll say is his animations for his fight, fantastic.
Yes.
His quotes, also fantastic. Can't tell you the amount of times I go around my house by myself going,
Bear witness! I also love how he says, "Oh, truest of dragons." And he holds up his little like 6-fingered hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The cutscene's awesome. I love, I guess, just odds and ends. We already talked about a lot of it, but I love his jump move where he jumps just slightly into the air and kind of like comes down. It's so graceful.
Yeah.
And it's so satisfying to dodge. Like dodging into it and then hitting him after.
I love just dodging into a jump move in general.
Oh, yeah, it's so good. And then I also love the halfway point of the fight where he chops his arm off and how you can get hit by the axe when he chops his own arm off, which is just a nice little touch.
Yes.
It was a nice little slap in the face. So I'm like, I gotta get some damage in, and then
no, you can't.
Start the second phase with half my health because I got greedy. It was nice. But yeah, again, I think that's really intentional by From Software to be like, hey, if you didn't like all the open world jumping and platforming and stuff, like you don't have to do it. But here it is in one of the legacy dungeons. If you like it, we've integrated it perfectly with the dungeon experience. I know. So it's like something for literally everyone. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it.
Oh, here we go. You ready for
we got another Banished Knight.
Oh, we used to have a Banished Knight.
But now, just a big cloud of ice.
Bye, buddy. I love that. Stealth in this game is my favorite. The stealth with a giant weapon is so, like, it's just so cartoonish. Satisfying. It's so Looney Tunes, like. And I love that you walk through that little skyway thing prior. Like, it's so layered and leveled, and everything about it is just like.
It's very considered too. It's like everything was considered. Like from here, we should be able. It shouldn't just be a blank skybox. It should be, hey, I know that place. Oh, I want to get to that place. That's where I was. That's where I should be going. The only thing that this game is missing is like civilians, and I guess that's not like the point. But
I know I did see in a forum though that people were waxing poetic about potentially someday getting to play one of these games where it's set during the like height of the kingdom and there's actual people there. And
so they want Miyazaki to die. Screw them.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
The irony of him needing to die in order for us to get to see a place living is pretty funny, but
it is, but I don't think it'll ever happen. His whole thing is ruined past glory, and I think as long as he's the head of the company,
which he should remain.
He should remain, yes.
I am a supporter.
I'm a big supporter. And we're right back.
We've now gone through, I think, the whole...
Yeah, that's the whole castle.
Huzzah.
But again, it doesn't take long when you know where you're going, but I spent days on Stormveil, just kind of exploring all the little nooks and crannies.
I just want to see if this works aerially real quick.
We're trying Wolf's Assault from...
Oh, wait, I didn't have any...
It didn't have any FP, no!
Whoa, wow. That was weird.
That was weird. Frame rate tanked.
Wait, there's still an opportunity. I can kill these guys and get it in just a second. All right, come here. Come here,
you scallywag. Wolf's Assault from on high.
Take two.
Yeah.
All right.
It. Just can't be too high.
Siofra. The river.
What?
Siofra. It's one of those things you never hear said, yes. And then you're just like, brain, figure something out. I'm not gonna think about it. Siofra?
I'm gonna be the pronunciation guy because I had Blythe. I'm gonna say it's Shifra.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Shifra River.
Yes.
That's the one I like.
Okay.
Maybe if you want to say Siofra.
I don't want to say any of it, honestly. Okay.
But this is the underground area in the Bearwoods. Mm-hmm. The Mistwood.
Yes. And I came upon it thinking that I had found salvation from the bears because I got to the Mistwood early. By way of teleporting,
the Patches
trap. And so I was like, oh, finally, this will surely let me out of this horrible place. And it did by letting me into an even worse place.
Yeah, we get down to this really gorgeous, like, ruins. It's like blue and orange and like, that was so awesome.
And very, very linear at the start. So I had no idea that I was... happening upon a place that I would be going back to a lot in my first playthrough. I just thought it was like, oh, this is just some weird little dungeon or something. And no, this is the whole stinking, well, not even the whole, but like the first layer of underground, which...
Yeah, the underground was a nice little surprise. I think a lot of people that I've heard critique Elden Ring and jump on its flaws, always go back to that the underground was one of the best surprises, best like enriching part of the game, because yeah, it's one of those FromSoft things, like hiding Painted World of Ariamis in a painting, or you know, it's just little things that you could miss, but they put so much effort and work into making it an enjoyable experience. So remind me, we go down, we get off the platform, and then we're in that little area of Muckmen, where there's like a little platforming thing where you can get some items up top.
Yep,
right?
there's a little platforming thing you can get items up top. It's like a little hint of the ruins you're gonna see, and then there's a creek type thing that's going up on the left side.
Yep,
and if
that.
you go up that way, you better sneak. And actually, if you go up the other way, probably is a good idea to sneak too. And you get a bunch of melted mushrooms.
Melted mushrooms,
yes,
and Dukist herbas, I believe.
I had hundreds and hundreds of Dukist herbas. I harvest everything.
What do they do?
Kissed herbas. That's what they did anyway, I think.
Yep.
Otherwise, I've got no clue, because I severely underutilize crafting in that game, except for making exalted flesh out of arteria leaves.
Yes.
But yeah, so you go up there, and then if you survive all the way up to the top, there's a little staircase with an elevator, one of the prettiest elevators of all the underground glowing elevators. So nice.
I love the Nocron, Noxtella
yes.
aesthetic.
The Disney's Atlantis.
Oh, yes.
It's that thing that as a child, when that movie came out, I was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've seen. And then when I got on that elevator the first time, and all of the like rocks started, like the crevices start glowing blue, I was like, oh, we're back. Yeah. We're back to my childhood.
So this is another Blythe encounter, right?
Blythe is a little bit like, once you get through the elevator and get into kind of the main area, you escape a couple of crabs.
Oh yeah, and there's those little like electric balls that zap you.
The electric balls, and then the surprise moose guys, or you know.
Yeah, what do they call them? The dwellers.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yep, the guys that wear the fur armor.
Moose shamans.
Yes. Beautiful design. Super annoying to be just like, I'm just trying to get away from this crab.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's a wild boar, and then all of a sudden there's a dude sniping you.
Magic arrow to the face.
But yes, if you make it to the cliff where you can see Mogwin's palace off in the distance, everything's gorgeous. You can see a lone crucible knight just staring off into space, contemplating orbs, probably.
Orbs.
Yep. And yes, you do find Blythe down there.
Yeah. I think I found him before I talked to Ronnie.
Oh.
So I think he was just like, what are you doing down here, buddy? And I'm like, what are you doing down here, Wolfman? And yeah, he just talks about like he can see bloody Nocron right above us. And at that point, I was like, I can see a lot of runes. I don't know which one was for the other. You mean the big red one? No, he did not mean the big red one. But you talked about Mogwin Palace. That is an area that I saw. You see
real early.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can get to it super early through a quest, but if you don't do that quest, you don't get to that area for like 50 hours. I mean, that is true from software to show you something you're not going to see again for another 50 hours.
But also, like what we were talking about with Stormveil, just knowing that, oh, we get to go everywhere that we can see.
Yes, and they're not going to let us down.
No matter how fantastically out there it looks, like we're going to get to see it. It's going to be miserable when we get there, but we're going to get to see it.
See, I didn't think we'd go to Mogwin Palace. I really doubted. I was like, that's really gorgeous. Man, that's a really nice skybox. And then when I finally got there, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, man. Just every new layer of the underground area will get there, but it was like, there's more, there's more, there's more.
There's so much, yeah.
Oh, so much. And then we get to the round table hold.
Well, before we move on from Shifra, there's an elevator right at the end.
Of Shifra?
Yeah, and you put a stone sword key in it, and it like takes you up to Caelid?
Yes. Now, that's only if you go through the aqueducts.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I thought that's how you get to the Great Jars Arena, where you, like, So there's like aqueducts up in Nokron.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the end of Shifa River, there's another big elevator, and that takes you up to this little like ravine.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm getting my stuff backwards because
I knew it would take both of our brains to remember this.
Yep. That's very good. Yes, that's true. You do have to make it through the gauntlet of snipers to get to that elevator, but yes, that does lead you up to another bear.
Another bear. I was pissed.
Oh, I know. I was. Every time I see a bear, there are always places that bears wouldn't even be. Right. Like Mistwood, I'm like, okay, bears.
Yeah, bears.
Caelid, it's like,
what are these bears eating?
Yeah, nothing good for them.
Yeah, and why aren't their heads humongous?
Yeah, exactly. Why are their shoulders so big?
Yeah,
where are they lifting? Where's their gym?
I was pretty mad when I fought all the way through all those snipers and finally got to the and used my stone sword key that I only had a few of at that point because I went there super early. And yeah, I get up there and it's like, it's a stupid bear. I'm done. And unfortunately, I never went to and got the Great Jar's Arsenal because I just gave up. I was like, there's just a dumb bear there. I'm leaving.
Oh, that's sad. Every time I would come upon a bear, I'd be so indignantly angry that I'd be like, I have to kill this now.
Kill this bear.
And yeah, you get the bear, you get a couple of the big golem archers.
Yeah.
Which are, easy enough to fight. Mm-hmm. And then you come upon the jar, and one of the only boss runs, I would consider it a boss run.
Yeah.
Having to fight
3 NPCs
that are randomized in their difficulty, and every time you die to one of them, you have to go fight all 3 again.
All 3 of them again.
Yeah. So it's definitely not a satisfying place to go to, but necessary.
Yeah, you get a good talisman out of it.
You do. We didn't really talk about the Divine Tower, but
the Divine Tower of Limgrave is at the end of a really long bridge that you don't have to cross.
Yes.
You just touch a transporter, kill a couple golems. What did you think about the whole restoring Great Runes concept and having to go to another area to use your Great Rune?
If the design of it was any less magnificent, I would hate it more than anything. But to get to go up to the top of some crazy tower and get like just the most perfect aerial view, it always felt worth it.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily know what I was doing by completing that activity because I didn't use Great Runes.
Oh, really?
Because I didn't know what the rune arcs were for.
Oh.
I didn't know any of that stuff until I got to Radagon on my first playthrough.
Wow. I don't like getting a reward that you have to do another not that it's a fetch quest, but another like travel based.
It's a fetch quest.
Yeah. Another travel
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Right. Hey, thanks for listening to the Maidenless podcast.
Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
And leave us a comment or review. Let us know what you thought of the show.
Next week, we're going to be getting into South Liurnia and the Weeping Peninsula.
Dozing cross-legged?
That guy's clearly dead.
He's dead. He's not dozing.
He is cross-legged, though. They got that right.